Please, Carla.
Good afternoon. My name's Carrie Townsend Jones and I'm the International Manager at Gower College Swansea in South Wales. And I just very briefly want to really demonstrate to you how flexible and how adaptable mentoring can be as a methodology to support a whole range of learners and people who are in employment, in training, in work experience and whatever, and how we have developed our mentoring programs in Gower College Swansea with the help of many European partners. So, I started by calling it From Little Acorns. And this is where we started back in 1999. We had a youth foundation program at the college supporting 14 to 16-year-olds who were not managing successfully in school, so they came to work at the college to do a more vocational program than was available in their schools. And our very first project was called Peer Education Training, and it developed a manual for teachers to give them some ideas about how they could use mentoring to support students who were struggling or having problems with coping with the work that they were doing in school. So that was our very first, and as you can see there, it was led by an organisation in Belgium with partners in France, in Italy and in the UK. And then in 2002 we decided that we wanted to look at how we could use our own students and young people who would be mentors for other students and young people. So this is why we call it peer mentoring, because it's how peers support each other. And this was particularly looking at disadvantaged groups of students. We had young offenders, we had students with learning disabilities, students with mental health problems, students whose behaviour was not appropriate for their schools. So we looked at how can we develop this mentoring idea to train our students to help their fellow students in the classroom and in their work placements. So that was peer mentor support, and that expanded our network and to include Portugal, Spain, Ireland and partners in Wales. From that, as you can see, our oak tree is growing, and 2 more projects came out of that. Me, Myself, I, which was about not just mentoring but also about peer education. Again, training students and young people to have a whole range of activities and exercises that they could use with other young people to act as role models and to give them ideas about how to help them with their self-esteem, with their confidence, with their behaviour. And so we developed a whole range of personal development exercises that could be used with these young people. Euromentor expanded our network of the peer mentoring, brought in students with hearing impairment, young people who had been thrown out of school, who weren't in any sort of training, etc. And we also organised a conference on peer mentoring. It was a European conference, it was held in Mallorca, and delegates came from all over Europe to learn about the mentoring programme. So, as you can see, our network grows more, down as far as Turkey, to Mallorca, into Portugal, across to the Czech Republic. So our network and our spider's web was spreading across Europe. All these different partners were taking our methodology and using it in different ways as was suitable to their own students or their own young people, or even with adults. And really demonstrating how flexible it can be and how it can be adapted to work with any kinds of groups that are your particular concern. This was our conference. We had the whole point of it was the whole conference was run by the young people themselves. They were the ones who ran the workshops, demonstrating what they can do with mentoring and how they could show other people how to use the mentoring methodology. Okay, and still it grew. 3 new projects came out of that. The one in the middle, Implementer, is the one that this project is based on, and that was looking at how learning support assistants, classroom assistants, teaching assistants can be trained as mentors to work in the classroom when there are young people in those classes who have disabilities or learning difficulties or some behavioural or social issues. Peer Implementation Project was an extension of our peer education and took that again into new groups and working with different countries on using young people as peer educators with disadvantaged groups like our young offenders, people with learning disabilities, a hearing impaired group, etc. And Net Mentor, we looked at how we could use mentoring online because of course students move on, so therefore the face-to-face mentoring isn't always appropriate as they move through, so we developed an online mentoring program as well. We developed a website that the students and their mentees could communicate online, use activities and games and exercises online. And as you can see, we really started to expand out across Europe, and for the first time we actually started moving north up into Denmark, as well as right the way across through Turkey into Romania, so pretty much covering the whole of Europe, with every partner, all using it in different ways. It's not something that can just be used in one way. They all took the materials and they used them in the way that was most suitable for the groups they're working with. Okay, this was PIP, which was Peer Implementation Project, and that was looking at how we could train these young people on an accredited training program so they got a qualification as being peer educators. So they got the benefits as well as the people they were working with. So we took them all to Turkey for a 5-day residential training course. Students from all the different countries that we were working with all came together for the training course in Turkey and all came out with an accredited qualification in peer education at the end of it. Okay, and this again, as you can see, each time we are spreading it, there are more projects growing. Peer education pan-European, that was taking our peer education to a whole new range of target groups. Pathways to Work was a project with schools for people with physical disabilities, and it was looking at how they could use mentoring in the workplace. So again, a similar idea to what we're doing with Work Mentor, but it was using students as the mentors rather than the workplace supervisors. So a student from a mainstream school and a student with a disability would go together to the workplace, and the student from the mainstream school would be the mentor and would help them and support them in their workplace. The European Guide to Mentoring is an online project where we have developed a guide that anybody can download and look at to see and get some ideas about mentoring. And it has all the contacts from all those many partners. So if you are in the Czech Republic, you can look on the website and say, I can speak to this organization in the Czech Republic and they can help me to develop a mentoring program of my own. So almost every country in Europe now has some representation from that small beginning back in 1999. And this was some of the people who we worked with on the European Guide to Mentoring. Young people again developed the guide. So we have the one which is like the guide with all the information and the contact details, and then the mentors themselves and the peer educators developed what we call the rough guide to mentoring, which is from their own personal perspective how they've used mentoring and some ideas of how young people can adapt the work they do to help their peers in schools and in colleges. Okay, and still it grows. So 4 more projects that came out of that. Parent involvement works, that was looking at particularly about how we tend not to involve parents so much once a student gets to about 16, and it was looking at perhaps whether we should in fact still involve parents and still use parents to support and to give the parents some basic mentoring skills that perhaps would help them not to be quite so confrontational with their children and help them in school. Work Mentor, of course, which is here. Parents Matter, which is an extension of Parent Involvement Works. And FED, which has now actually become a project called FATE, and it's about looking at ways of reducing school exclusion and school dropout, and again, using mentoring as a methodology in that. And, as I say, so it goes on. And now we have been, these 2 on the end, not Leonardo projects. These are, I was contacted by somebody from the Turkish National Railway who asked whether we could help them to develop mentoring and train the railway staff in Turkey, the whole of Turkey I guess, in mentoring skills. And Engage is a very large European Social Fund project in southwest Wales, which is working with disengaged young people, and mentoring has become a key part of that project as well. Mentor-T and FATE are, as you can see, we're not actually, well it says Wales, but it's not us, we're not actually involved in these now. They've gone off, they've moved away, they don't need us anymore, the expertise is out there. And these projects are growing without any help from us at all. And so as you can see, if you look there, we pretty much cover the whole of Europe. And so wherever you are, there's somebody there who can tell you about how they're working with mentoring in their own countries. And there, finally, from our little acorn, is our fully grown oak tree, and these are all the projects, and from the side, as you can see, the new shoots growing to make a whole forest of mentoring projects as the years go by. Okay, thank you. And there's just some pictures of all our different activities and workshops and things that the young people have done as part of all these projects, with, of course, Work Mentor there in the middle at the top, which is the most recent one. Okay, thank you very much.